My name's Guy Kesteven. I've been a professional mountain bike and kit tester for nearly 25 years. And today, the bike I've just unboxed before I take it for a test ride is the YT Decoy Elite. Just like to say thanks very much for Zero Cycling UK for sponsoring the channel at the moment, and for Crudcatcher for keeping me face and my lens clean on the videos. This is the top of the range Decoy Elite, $6,299 plus shipping costs on top of that. There's then a Decoy Pro, which is essentially the same bike as this but with E13 wheels. That's $5,999. There's then a Decoy Shred, which is obviously the harder hitting bike. Comes with a Fox 38 front fork and a Performance Elite coil shock, and that comes in at $5,399. And then the entry level model is the Decoy Comp, which is $449, and that is SLX spec with a Fox Rhythm 36 fork and a DPX2 shock on the back. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pick up the camera and talk you through some of the up close tech details on this bike. Like I say, Elite flagship model, so you're getting Fox 38 factory front with Grip 2 damper, top of the range fork, 170mm travel, high speed and low speed compression and rebound adjustment separately. Fox X2 float rear shock, big piggyback DH Enduro shock, again all the adjustment you could want in there, and you're even getting a Fox transfer seat post, dropper seat post in 150mm stroke, but again getting that gold Kashima shaft on there, which a lot of people miss out on even on their flagship bikes. And sat on top, nice little touch there, YT SDG saddle. It's the SDG radar saddle with a YT logo on top. In terms of other spec, it's an XT build in terms of the gearing, and so you've got that little clutch mech on there and a 1051 rear cassette. But the braking is actually from SRAM, so that's a Code RSC brake, front and rear, with the Code RSC levers. So you've got bike point adjust and you've got lever reach on there. Super capable, super. I mean, I love the feel of Code RSC levers. I mean, Shimano XT levers are great when they work, but they do have a bite point issue on occasional sets. So delighted to see them on there. They're sat on a Renthal 800mm bar with a Renthal 50mm stem on there. So again, top spec componentry, but a little surprised that it's a 50mm stem. Whereas it might expect something a bit shorter on an aggressive shredding bike, but you've got ODI grips on there, which are always a favourite in terms of all-weather grip. As you can see, you've got the Shimano steps controller there and the little rocker switch for taking you through the different modes. But this is the Steps 7000 E7000 series display, so it's just black and white, and the switch gear is 7000 as well. But the motor is E8000, so that's the top of the range motor from Shimano's previous generation. It's not quite as powerful as the latest EP8, but it doesn't have that clank issue that we've been getting on some bikes, and it's also well, a totally proven and reliable unit. It doesn't have the surge under power. It's basically a simpler unit, but it is absolutely bomb-proof. And powering that is a custom YT 540 watt-hour battery hidden in this open down tube here. So it's got a covering blanking plate on there rather than it being a full complete tube. But all these Decoy bikes, full carbon front end and a full carbon rear end, and as you can see, it's a seriously oversized structure with what they call the virtual 4-link suspension. So you've got this really neat U-link here driving into the big fat chainstays, and then an FSR style chainstay pivot here, so giving a fully neutral pedalling and suspension kinematic. Always been rave reviewed right from when I first rode it on the Capra. It's always done a really good job, and from what I've read about the Decoy Elite, that doesn't change here. Super sorted bike, even with the air shock on. Other features on the frame, you've got a really neat, you can't really see it in there, it's such a neat integration, really neat sensor integration on the inside of the rear dropout. You've got plenty of frame protection, you've got these little battlement lumps there for that, and you've got more protection there, more protection underneath. You've got big plastic bash guard under the motor there, and you've got fork protection there in case the fork crown comes round and locks in place. But you've also got a limited lock headset setup as well, so that's not going to swing too far anyway on that Across headset. It just keeps the frame nice and safe. But you know, there's still enough steering lock on there for switchback turns. You're just not going to be able to bar spin it, not in its standard format anyway. And one interesting aspect about this Decoy is that to keep this top tube completely clean, they've actually put the power button underneath there, and also it means that you're not going to knock it accidentally either. But that means that the battery charge port sits here, right in line with the front wheel spray. I mean, it's a good solid rubber plug on there, but make sure that you get it properly in place to stop any mud and filth getting up inside, and maybe consider a long fender on the front just to reduce that front wheel spray. Other features on here, fully internal cable routing with guides. It pops out in some slightly curious areas, but actually it's out of the way. You've got an E13 Shimano e-bike specific chain guide there. You've got plenty of tyre room, even with this big 2.8 inch Maxxis tyre on the rear. Neat little seat collar there. And you've also got a flip chip for low and high geometry and bottom bracket positions. And finally, as well as some of the pivots being sort of hidden neatly by the way the linkage is formed, they're all extra sealed for a bit more durability in the kind of weather we get over here in the UK. In terms of frame warranty, there's a 5-year defect manufacturing warranty on it, but if you crash the bike in the first 3 years and damage it, YT will do you a reduced price crash replacement scheme, currently running at €17.99 for a full Decoy frame set if you do prang it. I mean, obviously that's not a lifetime warranty, but at least, you know, it's a bit more peace of mind if you do get a bit too lively on this bike. I mean, because certainly in terms of the steering angles, 64.5 or 65 degree head angle, depending where you have that flip chip, and then 75.5 or 76 degree seat angle. Pretty, you know, good, solid, confidence-inspiring slack front end, reasonably balanced seat angle on there. Bottom bracket height is either 343 in low or 350. So again, reasonable amount of ground clearance on there, you know, trending towards the high side. And also the reach, definitely a surprising figure if you know your contemporary bike numbers. Only 450mm on this large, but that comes with a 445mm seat tube. So you could stretch out to the 470mm reach of the XL, but that gets you a 470mm seat tube, and you get a 175mm post on that bike. So do your maths carefully if you want to try and squeeze onto that bigger bike. But, you know, to be fair, on paper, that makes me a bit, oh, crikey, that sounds very, very short. But like I say, but I've heard from a lot of testers who I really respect and read their reviews, and this apparently is an absolute shredder. So, be interesting to see what it's like on the trail. Finishing off the spec, you've got an Assegai up front, you know, super grippy Maxxis 2.5 by 29 tyre up front. It's Max Terra though, and it's only an EXO casing, so the relatively lightweight casing. And on the back, although it's a 2.8 by 27.5, because this is the mullet bike, it's only, again, EXO Plus, so it's not a DD. And that holds true even on the shred bike with the coil shock, which I'm a bit surprised at, to be honest. You know, this is a bike that's obviously designed to be ridden hard with 165mm of travel at the rear and 170 up front. This isn't just your lightweight cruising bike, but on the plus side, you have got these superb Crank Brothers Synthesis E11 carbon wheels, super wide rear rim on there, and the 27.5, and then 31mm internal up front. And also, Crank Brothers are one of the wheel companies who deliberately designed a more compliant front wheel and then a slightly stiffer back wheel for that tighter carving feel, which is obviously going to play really, really well with this mullet setup. And as well as these mullet bikes, there are also two double-ended 29er bikes in the Decoy range. There's the Pro at $499 and the Base at $399. So slightly lower spec level than you can go to on this bike, but an 145mm travel at the rear and 150mm at the front, with a 66 or 65.5 degree head angle and 77 or 77.5 degree seat angle. But reach is longer, so 462 on the large, 482 on the extra large, and bottom bracket height, because of that travel, a little bit lower as well, so 339, 345. So in a way, you know, definitely more of a trail bike with a dual 29er and less travel, but actually with more reach and still a pretty aggressive geometry setup. And this bike, as it stands here, 50.88 pounds. So reasonably light, considering it's got a 38 on it, but then you've got to factor in the fact that it has got a smaller capacity battery. And one thing I haven't talked about, another clever bit of packaging here by YT. Obviously not room for a
conventional bottle in there. So what you get is this super broad, chubby little flask in there. But it still holds a decent amount, actually. It's 475ml capacity, so not far off a standard bottle. And that just slides in under the shock like so. So, you know, nice bit of detailing, you know. Don't think just because the pricing is so aggressive and it's an online company that they're skimping on the detailing. If anything, my experience of these kind of bikes, they tend to go the extra mile just because they want you to have an outstanding experience, because they kind of can't be there to nurse you through it in person. Although there is now a UK YT service centre, so you can go and look at the bikes down in the Surrey Hills if you want to, because obviously it's not available through your local shop. But the level of spec you're getting for the price is absolutely insane. I mean, this would cost you upwards of 10 grand on some brands I can think of, and yet you're getting it for 6,300 plus shipping currently. That's absolutely nuts for a full carbon frame with full Fox factory throughout. And I think those Crank Brothers wheels alone come in around 2 grand.
So, well, that's the quick tech run round before I even ride it. Obviously, what's going to be really exciting is getting this bike onto the trails, getting the pedals in there, getting my fender on there, getting it set up, hitting the trails as hard as these guys obviously want me to with that fork and travel on the back. Yeah, getting back to you live with my riding impressions of it. So stay tuned for a live ride review on this bike, and it'll probably be written up for Bike Perfect website as well. But for now, thanks to YT for sending me the bike for test. Thanks to Giro Cycling for supporting the channel for the next 6 months. Thanks very much to my Patreon subscribers who pledge a small monthly amount towards the upkeep and investment in the channel, and they get exclusive, extended and behind the scenes edits as a thank you. They'll be getting a YT Izzo live ride review very, very shortly, as you know, as part of their perks package. So if you really like what I'm doing on the channel, please consider joining those guys on Patreon. Link at the end. But for now, thanks for subscribing, click for notifications, give the video a thumbs up so YouTube know that you like it and so it gets shared more, and you know, get busy in the comments as well, because the more interaction I get, the more action I get on YouTube, and that helps the channel grow. But for now, I've been Guy Kesteven on Guykes TV, getting ready to test the brand new YT Decoy Elite.